Gentlemen, hey, congratulations for your documentary, The Last Out.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hey, not a problem. Better congratulations. You guys showcased it at Tribeca. How did that feel?
It was surreal. I mean, I just feel so much gratitude for being able to get our friends and family together, and for Tribeca for sticking with us, and just for our team. Sammy, John, and I hadn't seen each other in a year and a half. We finished the film remotely, so this was our opportunity to really sort of come together and share in the work that we did.
Most excellent. So I guess we could always start off with the easy question. What actually sparked you guys to do this documentary, The Last Out? Where did it originated from?
Yeah, I mean, we're sports fans. We're baseball fans in particular. But we started to think about the cost of the game. The things that you know about the game, but the things that the leagues don't want you to know. And when we started the project, there were these waves of defections from Cuba, stories like, Yasiel Puig and Jose Abreu, even Aroldis Chapman a couple years earlier. And there seemed to be something left out of the story. What was driving these players on a human level to take these considerable risks, and who were the facilitators who were operating in the shadows, incentivizing these players to leave. So that's where the project started from, and it kind of started with that thematic idea. And then we, through kind of dogged research and follow-up, we were able to start filming with Gustavo Dominguez, who is a kind of central figure in the film, and we were getting his story. And at the end of our first day with Gus, he mentioned that he was representing these 4 young Cubans in Central America, and would we want to go down and film with them? And we said yes, of course. And then when we met Happy, Carlos, and Baro, that's where we found our A story and the way to articulate these larger thematic ideas about the cost of baseball.
Now, you just mentioned that there were 4. So what happened to the 4th person? He couldn't be convinced to be part of the documentary?
No, not at all. We filmed with Freddy Peralta, who is a fantastically talented player, and also just a really big-hearted human being. I mean, he's 6'4" or something like that, but he has an even bigger heart. But in the process of shooting, and also in the beginning stages of editing, when we started working with Carla Gutierrez, and she's the type of editor who likes to ingest all the footage, and we had more than enough recordings of probably a couple, 300-400 hours. Baseball stuff can be very long, but we also had a wealth of story and character. And, in order to distill the most, the strongest story that people can digest in an hour and a half, we knew that we needed to really center the story around Happy, and then Victor Baro and Carlos Gonzalez. And Freddy didn't quite have as complete of an arc, as things unraveled in Costa Rica. All of the players took agency of their situation to a certain degree and forged their own way. And Freddy was a little hard to track, but we hope that, the collective story of the guys that we represent on screen can really, stand in for and represent the bigger immigration story, not only of these players, but all the immigrants that we met along the way.
Just a little off the record, like point of clarification. This is just a slip up of Mike's, I know, because Freddie would kill him, but it's Freddy Portilla, not Peralta.
Portilla, I'm sorry. I've been watching so much Brewers, and we've got Freddy Peralta, who's who's crushing it on the mound. But yeah, I knew that. Sorry, Freddie.
I was gonna say, I was like, wow, Freddy
Yeah,
Peralta.
yeah,
I remember him playing Major League Baseball. But anyways,
yeah. That's right. My bad.
how, how easy was it to convince your subjects to be part of this documentary? Then they seem so agreeable to be part of this story.
You know, it was a continuum. It was a continuum. And at the beginning, you know, we had this thematic idea, and then we were sort of finding the language of the film. And, you know, we had to adapt. We had to modify our filmmaking approach. And, you know, for the first year or so, Mike really camped out in San Jose. I think it helped that there was a girl that he liked that was down there. But he really, he slept on the floor at the apartment in San Jose where the guys were living. And, you know, that he formed this incredible relationship with Happy, which forms, you know, like that emotional heart of the film that, you know, he was just talking about. And then Carlos and Baro took longer, you know, to understand exactly what we were doing. And I think Carlos, because he is so ethereal, you know, I think that's the best way to describe him. It's like, even when you're with him, he's like kind of fleeting and ethereal. But that took sort of these long conversations we would have on camera and off camera about the situation, what he was dealing with, what he was going through. And with Baro, I mean, maybe Mike, you could talk about when you know, you showed him our trip to Violeta, and that seemed to unlock things.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a continuum, and part of my technique, as Sami alluded to, was really, going out with the guys, living together, partying, and just sort of living their experience. And part of the experience that we were able to live was something that these guys weren't able to do, which was visit their families in Cuba. I mean, that's why they left. They left not only just to chase their dream and to reach the highest levels of baseball, but all of the guys who talk to them, their first motivation is to help their families. So, with first world privileges, we were able to go down to Cuba. And I remember talking to Baro before going. He's like, "Oh yeah, you can meet my uncle in Ciego de Ávila, which is the larger city close to where he's from." I was like, "No, bro, I want to go to your house and meet your mom and your brother." And we literally, Sami and I sort of coerced this taxi driver to take us across the country, and we were knocking on these guys' doors and sleeping in their beds and eating their favorite meals that their mom would cook for us. And naturally, when we sent those videos and photos back to Costa Rica and shared with the guys, I mean, this is what they're doing it for. So you have Baro, who's this big, brooding guy who can throw 98 miles an hour. Just, you see it in the film. There was a moment when I showed him the video, and he breaks down. And I think we needed that raw emotion in the story, but more than anything, it was a continuum of building that trust. I remember after that moment at the stadium where Baro was watching the videos of his family, we were walking back to his favorite barbershop, which you see in the film a few times. And he was like, "Mike, now I really understand what you guys are doing. This is a story about our lives, about our hopes and dreams, not just baseball on the surface."
Most excellent. Now there was an incident between Gus and Happy. Why did you guys make the decision to continue the story to follow Happy after that?
You want to take that, Mike?
Sure. I mean, that's a great question. And as Sami described, our way into the story was through Gus. So, we were originally seeing the potential of, hey, this is a story about this agent who's perhaps was wrongfully convicted, and he's got a new group of players that he just wants to help out, and he's trying to rebuild his business and turn his life around. And when Happy got cut, I think we had anticipated that Gus and the coaches needed to make some changes financially, but we were taken aback in just the way he was let go, without a bus ticket, without a helping hand. And at that point, we had spent so much time with the players and really saw the value of telling a story from their perspective rather than the agents in the system. You know, we see so many stories, you know, from the other side, and you know, we could have just not followed Happy or gotten some shots of him leaving, and he becomes a footnote in the story, and it would have been a very different film, maybe one that Gus would have preferred. But we thought it was important to show the reality, the truth that these guys have to endure. You know, our editor, one of our fantastic editors, Carla, talks about the unique demand for these type of immigrants, you know, these baseball players that have these skills, but when the rubber meets the road, you know, these are human beings just trying to better their lives and create more opportunities for them to grow. And that's a universal human story, and our instinct was to follow it.
Most excellent. I think this is a great documentary. Now, one more thing before I let you two go, as audiences, you know, Tribeca, they watched it, and I'm sure future audiences will have a chance to watch your documentary. What's the one most important lesson that you hope that they walk away with after viewing your film?
You know, I just like pick up the thread what Mike was just talking about. You know, I think there's a tendency in the United States to just focus on the supply of migration and to think, oh, you know, even Kamala Harris going down to Central America and saying things like, don't come here. Well, yeah, there is an issue in that people feel unsafe and they're leaving their homes, or they're, you know, they can't support their families and they need to leave. But as big a part of that is the demand for labor, right? In the United States, the economy needs migrant labor. And whether you're talking about $1 billion industry like Major League Baseball or, you know, agriculture, that demand for labor, that's what's drawing people to the United States. And I think part of it was through accident, part of it was design, but we found a way to articulate the sort of human element of that story. And so ultimately, I think we hope that people have an understanding of the human and emotional cost it takes for, you know, a product, even if it's baseball, to get to you in the United States. And that's something that I feel like the descendants of immigrants, I think it's something that resonates particularly with the descendants of immigrants, whether it was your grandparents, your great-grandparents, or your parents or you yourself.
Most excellent answer. Well, Michael, Sami, hey, thank you very much for speaking to us about your documentary, The Last Out, and I can't wait to check out your next projects.
Thanks, it's a pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.